record. Yes, so the recording only contains the screen that I share. We're not recording you guys. So only what I'm sharing is being recorded, and everything I say is being recorded. Also, if you ask some questions, the sound of you asking is also going to be recorded, but that's good, right? If somebody's rewatching this, we want the whole context, your question as well. Yes, so again, the first step is to find where you want to create a directory for your project. And I want to create a directory in here. So then, to create a new directory in your terminal, you type mkdir, which stands for make directory, and then space, you call this directory something. In the guide, I say make dir my games, but you can call your project whatever you want. This is just the folder in your computer. You can change the name of this folder whenever you want. So I am gonna call this games. I think I already have one. It's called games. There. Now what I want to do is I want to go into this directory. So if I type ls and list all the directories I have, my games is one of them. So now I want to enter this directory. So I press cd my games, or games in my case. This is an empty folder I have just created. And you can also just double check. I have created, like with your Finder or your browser, you can check that you have created this folder and it's empty. Great. So now what we're gonna do is we are gonna initialize an NPM project. So NPM stands for Node Package Manager. And we are gonna use this tool to manage our project. So just do a quick check and type npm dash or double dash, I always forget, version. Yes, when you do this, it should type some version of NPM that you have. I don't think I have the latest one, but the important part here is that it doesn't say, doesn't give you some kind of error, like I don't know what NPM is, kind of error. Yeah. If this is not working, then raise your hand. Cool. So now we are inside our directory. You can double check it with pwd. At the end of the thing that it prints should be the name of the directory you have just created. And then we type npm init, as in initialize, and then dash y. So we tell Node Package Manager to initialize our project here, and then we give it an option y. That actually means yes. So normally, if you just run npm init, it will ask you lots of questions like, oh, should we use this? Should we use that? Blah, 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 blah. If you type dash y, you just agree to all the defaults. So it takes much less time. So npm init y, and you go. So if I look here, a package file has been created, package.json. Great. So now what we want to do is we want to open Visual Studio Code, not Visual Studio, Visual Studio Code. These are two different programs. This one is blue and not purple. And we open folder. So in the file menu, there is an open folder button there. And then you choose the folder you have just created. So navigate there and then select it.
I have a question. So the creation of the file via Git bash doesn't work for me. It doesn't create folders or packages. Is that bad, or could I just do it manually?
You cannot create a folder. So make dir doesn't work for you.
Yeah, and also the init/y, it shows me like name, version, description, blah blah blah, but it didn't create a package like you did before.
What should we do? Should we share screen? Test?
Yeah.
Do you wanna see or do you wanna show what it looks like on yours? Because it's important. Sure.
Yeah, sure. Wait, let me. Did you see my screen already?
Ja, sätter på så om jag kan. Jo. Prey asked if I could make the terminal bigger, and yes, I made it a bit bigger. Actually, we're not going to use this terminal anymore. We're going to use Visual Studio Code's terminal soon. So, Svenja, where are you sharing your screen?
Well, I can't. You need to stop recording.
To enable it. Okay. Do we have any Zoom enthusiasts who know how to do this? So I want to enable other people to share their screens. I think it worked before, I think.
Maybe if you just press Alt-S.
In Zoom?
Mm-hmm.
Is there any? Okay.
And now I can share mine.
Oh.
Now you should be able to see mine.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Okay, but you wrote npm init --y. That's npm init just one -y.
Right,
but
right.
It has created, you see, it says wrote to C users GIS something package JSON. So it has created.
But why didn't create it in here? Because I like initiated from here, git bash here.
And now you clicked git GUI, I think, or?
No, I clicked git bash, or
Okay.
should I click git GUI?
No, click git bash here.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then create a folder in this folder. So make dir, mkdir, space, and then the name of your directory, for example, my games or something. Enter. And then you see, you have created a directory.
Okay. I don't know why it didn't work before. Thank you.
And then cd my games.
cd my games.
Yeah, and then npm init -y. There. So now you have a package in there. Yes.
All right. Thank you.
So we needed these steps to be done in a terminal, but now we can use Visual Studio Code's terminal. So what I mean is,
is it different with a Mac? Because I could just do the what we did just then in Visual Studio Terminal.
Okay. Yeah, maybe we took a little detour there. It doesn't matter much. So now we have an NPM project, right? We can close this terminal. We're not gonna need it. So what we do is we have opened Visual Studio Code. Then we have pressed here, File, Open Folder, and then we have chosen the folder that we have just created, so My Games, right? And now click Terminal, New Terminal. So you should have a terminal window here underneath. You can close this welcome window on top. So on the left, you should have your package JSON. You can take a look. Doesn't contain anything much that we need right now. Just some information about this project that it has created. And now we're gonna use the terminal here. So all the commands we're gonna write here. So yeah, we can close git bash if we don't want it there. I might have it open in case it's very small. I might use this instead because here I'm able to like zoom in, zoom out. Okay, so next step, we are gonna install React into our project. So what we write then, you can either double check in the guide or you can follow what I'm writing. Tell me if this is too small and I should use this instead. So we are writing npm node package manager install and then react space react -dom. So this install command, it can take a list of all the things we want to install. So we want to install two things now, React and React DOM. And run it. So now we have installed our React dependencies. So our project depends on the React libraries now. And we have actually downloaded these libraries. They are now in our node modules folder that has appeared here next to package.json. And you see we have some React, React DOM, and some other things that those two libraries need to work. We don't ever need to look into the node modules folder. So its contents will just grow and grow and grow. And yeah, we don't need to look in there. It's just like all the libraries that our project has imported. Okay, so next step is we are gonna install our development dependencies. So there are two sorts of dependencies. Things that our project needs to run in production, and things that we need to build the project. So for example, React is something that is needed for our site to function. But things like we're gonna install now, we're only gonna need to build the project. So this might sound a bit confusing, but you'll see how this goes. So now I think it's better that you copy the next command from the guide. It's npm install save dev babel core babel blah blah blah. So we are installing a tool called Babel. This is what I'm copying. All right. We have Katarina who raised her hand. Do you want to?
Yeah, I think because I don't have this what was it called? It's this packages installed. Although it says that my installation ran correctly, I cannot find this this folder in my games. I still have in my games just package JSON file and that's it. And but I should have 2 files, right?
Yeah, maybe let's help you share your screen. Then I am stopping my sharing.
One second, share screen. Does it work? Do you see my screen now?
Yeah.
Okay, so I have here, I have this folder and I just have package JSON, but I install it here.
I don't think you have opened my games directory in your Visual Studio Code. Right now in your Visual Studio Code, you see the whole desktop. So if you type file, or if you press file menu up.
Also, I need to go from this terminal to the right directory as well.
In Visual Studio Code, top left corner of your screen, file. Even higher up, top, all the way. Higher up. Do you have file button just above where you are? I can see it in your, yes. And then open folder.
And then I have to find this folder.
And then choose my games folder.
Yeah. And then?
And now
okay.
I think you shared, yes, okay. And now open a terminal. So the button terminal up top, at the very top. Yes.
Oh, okay.
There. There you should write the commands that we wrote before.
Okay.
So
let me try with this one, that should work. I don't know, how do I stop sharing screen?
it's like if you bring your mouse to the top of your screen.
Okay.
The tool
Got
panel.
it. Okay, thank you. I will let you know if in case it doesn't work.
Yeah. So then you can stop raising your hand. Otherwise, I think you have. Otherwise, I think you have a problem already, right? In Zoom. Yeah. Okay. So next step is we're installing Babel. And remember, I told you about all these issues with the front-end development, that sometimes we have older browser versions that don't support newer JavaScript code. Babel solves this problem, not always, but it solves a lot of problems. Sometimes strange things happen anyway. And this is, it's a very good tool to have. So from Babel, we are importing core, preset env, and preset react. So core and preset env, those two things, they are translating our newer JavaScript to older JavaScript for older browsers to understand. And then preset react. So this second, oh wait a sec, I'm not sharing, right? No, I'm sharing. So these two things were for the JavaScript and for the older versions. And this preset React is to translate our syntax that we're going to use. So In React, you often use a syntax called JSX. Maybe you have heard about it. So we know HTML, right? What it looks like, those tags and things. Then we have CSS. It's the styles code. Then we have vanilla or plain classic JavaScript. And React comes with its own kind of language, which is a mix of HTML and JavaScript. And this language is called JSX, and Babel will translate this language to JavaScript. So this is why we need this library. All right, so let's continue. Babel, this tool, also needs a little bit of configuring. We actually need to tell Babel, please use this. So the next step in the guide, there's a little code snippet, Babel, presets, and so forth. We take this code snippet, copy it, and paste in our package JSON. Now it's important how you paste it. So let's look at this package JSON thing. It's a JavaScript object, right? A JavaScript object always has the curly braces at the start and at the end. And it consists of, it's a key colon value structure. So we have keys like name, version, description, and we have a colon, and then we have values. And then after the value comes a comma, and then a new key pair is listed. So you see, all of these things are keys and values. Sometimes the value is another object. Sometimes the value is an array. Sometimes the value is a string, so text, right? In the quotation marks. And now we're gonna insert another key value pair into this object. So in order for this not to break, we need to keep our structure in tight. So what we do is that we find an arbitrary place here after a comma. For example, after main here. It doesn't matter where, it can be after the last object here. So then I type a comma because I don't have any at the end. And then I press enter and paste my Babel key and value. It has a comma at the end, we can remove it. Or we should remove it for this file. And then we save our package JSON. So make sure that it doesn't that nothing here looks like an error. Errors are underlined with this little red thing. I think they're also highlighted in the scroll bar. Well, anyway, I hope you can figure this out. So all the things here are separated by the commas. And at the end, the last element, before the last curly brace, we shouldn't have any commas. So I hope you have this fixed. Don't forget to save the file if you don't have autosave enabled. And we take the next step. We are going to use a tool called Web.
Can you wait a small moment?
I just had a question. I wrote it on the chat box.
You have written it in the chat, okay. when you're creating something using React, should we also make it a habit to install Babel every time? Or is it dependent on what you are creating? I would advise to install Babel every time. It makes life easier because of the like incompatibility issues between JavaScript versions. And another important thing is that we are using Babel to translate our React code to JavaScript code. You will see what I mean by React code. It's like slightly different, the mix of HTML and JavaScript, that thing needs to be translated into pure JavaScript. And that's what we also use Babel for. All right, so next step is we're gonna install a tool called Webpack. And just as the naming suggests, it's a tool for packing things for the web. So for example, we're gonna create lots of different files, right? All of our components are gonna have their own file. So one file per component. And Webpack, for example, one thing it does is that it takes all of the codes that we have created and it packs it into one single JavaScript file. It also makes this file smaller. It can like remove all the spaces, all the tabs, like all the not needed things for the code to run in our browser. And why it does that is that, so when you open a web page, what you actually do is you download the whole HTML. And then you also download CSS and JavaScript files. So all the files that that the page tells you to download. And we want those files to be as small as possible for this download process to be fast, right? So that's why Webpack does that. So next line, and let's copy it as well from the guide, is npm install save dev, and we have a long line there with the Webpack, Webpack CLI, dev server, and then some loaders and lots of things. And I'll go through them a little bit and tell you what they all are. So what we've been doing so far, right, is we've been using npm quite a lot, the package manager. It knows the names of all the packages out there, and you just tell it, like, install this into my project, install that into my project. And it goes to the internet, finds that package, and installs it into your project. So we've installed React, Babel, and now it's time for Webpack to get installed. I have installed mine. So what did we actually do here? Let's go through this line and try to break it down. We have installed Webpack, the tool for packing all of our files for deployment to the web. Then we installed Webpack CLI. CLI, or people say CLI, is command line interface. So it's basically like command line Webpack commands that we need to use behind the curtains, so to say. We're not gonna write Webpack then run something in the terminal, actually Node npm will do it for us. But yeah, it's like another Webpack thing we need. Then we are installing Webpack Dev Server. And what's that? That's a development server, right? So when we test our code, we are gonna run it on our computer. So we run it from Visual Studio, a browser will open, and it will show us the page that we're building. Also, whenever we make some change in the code, it will be directly shown in our browser. And Webpack Dev Server is what we need for this to work. And then we have lots of loaders: Babel loader, CSS loader, style loader, file loader. So what are loaders? So I told you before that Webpack, it takes the files that we have created by our own hands, and then it packs them all for the web, right? But among those files, we might have, apart from JavaScript, we have some HTML and CSS, and we might have some pictures, or like, yeah, some files, some icons, and we need these loaders for those files to get packed for the web as well. And then at the end, we have HTML Webpack plugin. This thing we'll use to work with HTML code, let's say. All right, so we have installed some stuff, and next step will be to create the shell of our web page. We will write some HTML code, but we will do it after the break. So let's see each other at 2:40. I am continuing to share my screen, and I will start this timer. There. So see you at the end of that timer.
Tanya?
Yes?
Would you like to, at some point, explain how to, like, if, or is it even possible to somehow get these instructions saved, like for the setup and everything? I'm not very good with the GitHub, so I'm wondering if you can.
But we are going through this guide, and all of the instructions are there. Setup guide.
Yeah, I mean, but I would like to save the setup guide for later purposes after this course is done, if that's possible.
It's online, and I'm not taking it down.
Okay, great.
Actually, yeah, you can save it if you are afraid that I will take it down. But not in the nearest future. Like, it's gonna be up there for, let's say, a year.
But for easier access, I was thinking, like, should I clone it? Or what? Because they're on the right hand side underneath the.
You mean basically this text, or?
Yeah, just have easier access to this. Like, there's on your right hand side underneath the index, it says clone this wiki locally. Yeah, you can. I don't know how to do that. But if you have,
so Clara will tell you in the chat, maybe, or.
Okay, great.
Or she will explain now how to do it. It's just git clone into it. Yeah, and I'll take a little break.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so
sorry,
if you can,
I need to.
Yeah. Do you have a terminal open?
I think you're muted now.
Oh yes, I am.
Yeah.
Which terminal do you mean? Git bash or
Git
just?
bash, Git bash. Yeah.
Yes, I do.
Okay, so if you're in the directory where you want to save the wiki,
Mm,
it can be anywhere, like it can be in your own project.
yes, I am.
Yeah, so you just write git clone.
Git clone with
CL.
mellanslag.
Yeah, mellanslag.
Oh, okay. Cool.
And then just paste the link. So you know the link that Antonina showed.
Okay. Let's see if it's there.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. Thank you
Great.
so much.
Okay, no problem.
Excellent. Now I feel safe knowing
Yeah,
that it's
nice.
saved forever.
Okay, see you in a bit.
See you.
Hello, I'm back. I just looked at the chat and I got a couple questions there. Lisa, are you here? Yeah, you're here. I was just wondering if you were here because you asked a question, right? So if you like Google how to create a React application, you will often find that you should use a tool called Create React App, and it is it's a ready-made tool to get you started into React very fast. So actually, it skips the steps that we're doing now. It has it like built in into the tool. And I have tested it. I considered just using Create React App with you. But I felt like I ended up with a lot of files when I used the Create React App. And I didn't really know directly what all those files were used for. So it confused me. I mean, if you want to really start with React fast and not think about things that are happening in the background, then you can use Create React App. But what I'm giving you is like the background knowledge of what Create React App actually is doing. And also using NPM or NPX, understanding this command is important for web development. Also, we're gonna use Webpack and set it up. I feel like it's also important to know what that is and how that works, at least on a basic level. So this is what the setup is about. We are digging a little bit into like behind the scenes of what Create React App is doing. So we're doing a little bit harder setup than we could, but we're also getting knowledge about what's happening underneath, right? So I hope you appreciate it. So this installation guide is quite different from how we're gonna work the other days. So now we're doing a lot of command line things and not as much coding, maybe, not as much React, but this is life. First you need to install things, right? And then you work. And then Clara had some problem with copy pasting the Webpack line. Maybe you haven't copy pasted it fully, I'm guessing, but if you want to share your screen, we can take a look. I'm stopping my screen share.
If you can see my screen now.
Yeah, I see your screen.
Yeah, the thing is that I, of course, try to like copy paste it like multiple times and run it again. But at some point, the code.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it have installed it. Can you, in your terminal, can you press up, just the button up on your keyboard? It will show the previous command that you have written. So on your keyboard, right?
Yeah.
Just press the button up. And you scroll all the way down on in your terminal. Yes. So this is the... 9 packages are looking for funding. Webpack dev server. It looks from what it has written that it has installed it. Can you scroll up a little bit? So click first on the terminal and then scroll up.
Here?
Yeah, slowly. So from where you were and then up.
Okay, so it's here, and then should I go on?
Yeah, do that. It looks like it has installed it, but I don't see it in your package JSON. Could you scroll up? Could you scroll up in your package JSON file? So the top of your VS Code. Scroll.
Here? Yep.
Yeah, and you have dev dependencies, Babel, CSS, Webpack. You have installed all of it.
Okay. Because I tried to share it, that I found some like compare two versions. All of a sudden, like this was like the old version, there was some new version that looked, you know, there was like something edited.
Maybe
here.
clicked on the third button from the top in the left menu.
Which, I'm sorry.
Third from the top. You see, so if you go further to the left with your mouse, and press third button from the top, so up one step. Yes, that. No, I didn't have that initially. Okay. Because what I thought you saw maybe is the difference between like two versions of the files, but that you can only see if you have Git installed also, and no. So sorry, I don't know really. It seems like it has worked for you.
Oh, okay. So
yeah, so click on the first button there. It shows you what files you have. Yes.
There's some like package log.
Yes, so we have now package JSON and we have package log JSON. And we don't really need to look much at package log JSON, but if you want, I can tell you a little bit what I know about that file. So package JSON, it describes our project. It lists, it says what the project is called, some keywords, author. You can actually fill in the author if you want, it's your name. And then it has dependencies and dev dependencies. Those two are quite important. What package log contains, it's quite larger. You can open it. It's quite much larger file. It also lists the dependencies that we have installed, but in a much more detailed way. If you go back to package JSON, yeah, here we say, for example, Babel/core, that's a dependency that we want to install in our project, and the version should be at least 7.11.1. But package JSON says exactly what version it is, and it also, yeah, it also lists lots of other things. And as I understand, what you need package log JSON for is to see exactly what versions of these different libraries that the developer used when installing this project. So say, for example, that I have created a project today, and then in a year, lots of new versions of these libraries have come out. You cannot hear me as well anymore.
Not very well.
How about now? Do you hear me okay?
Yeah, much better.
Yeah, I just moved the microphone closer. Yeah, so say that I have created a project today, and so I have created package JSON and package log JSON. But what package JSON says basically is use at least these versions. So, and package log JSON says use exactly these versions. So package log JSON says exactly what versions of these libraries we're using. So if somebody checks out my project in a year and does npm install, what npm install does is it looks at package JSON and downloads the latest versions of those dependencies. Vaguely speaking, it's a bit more complicated than that. But if you want to recreate this project exactly the way I had it with some older versions, then you can somehow use this package log.json. That's my approximate knowledge of that file. And it's totally okay to include it in your project. It's no rubbish, don't throw it away.
Okay.
So yeah, you can read more about package log.json. I have only some approximate knowledge about it, but I'm kind of okay with it. Okay, so let me continue.
Yep.
If I can stop sharing, yes. So we have installed lots of things in our project, among them Webpack, and now we are gonna use Webpack and configure it. But first, I'm sorry, I jumped a little bit into the future. First thing we're gonna do, and that's what I said before the break also, we are gonna create the shell of our web page, and that's HTML code. So,
yeah, are you meaning to share your screen?
I'm meaning to do that.
Okay.
Sorry. Yes, I haven't written anything on my screen, so you didn't miss anything there. So first we need a little bit of structure. So what we have now is node modules, package JSON and package log.json. We want to create a folder, let's call it source, SRC. And we create it on the same level as these files. So you can click here, new folder, and call it SRC, as in source. So we are gonna have a structure with two folders, so to say, one source and one dist. It's quite a common pattern. Source is our source code and dist is our distribution code. Source is the code we write in order to build our web page. Dist is what Webpack is gonna create out of our source code. So it's like optimized version of our source code, which will not be human readable, but it is gonna be browser readable. So browsers will be happy when they use that version of our code. Yes. So inside the source folder, so click on it and then click on the new file button. So we're creating a new file inside it and we call it index.html. So this is gonna be our main web page. And I think it's easier if we just copy the HTML code from the guide.
Sorry, I'm not sure if I was supposed to create a folder for source or a file.
Yeah. Source is a folder.
Yeah, and a file inside it.
Inside it, we create a file called index.html.
Perfect, thank you.
And then into index.html, we paste the HTML code from the guide. This is what it looks like. After the Webpack comes this snippet. Paste it there. And somebody asked before what DOM was, and we looked behind the scenes of HowSpace and saw some HTML. Here comes HTML again. So we have an HTML tag as the root element. Inside it, we have head and body. I'm hoping that you guys have some basic HTML knowledge. So is it okay if I don't go through how you write HTML elements? What I mean is that you need an opening tag and closing tag, and sometimes you need some attributes and stuff like that. So this is an extremely basic site, right? It has a title and it has a div in the body. And this div is important. It also has an ID app. So this div is gonna be the container for our React application. Later, we're gonna say all of our React applications should go into this div. And this meta tag here is good to have if you want mobile devices to be able to see your web page in a good way. And then there is like language English, charset, UTF-8, very standard things you have at the top of any web page. If it is in English and if it is UTF-8, which it's 99% is. Okay, so next step, next to index.html, we create a file, so also in the source folder, we create a file called index.js. And this file is the entry point of our application. This is where the code is gonna start running. And here, now you can also copy or you can do some typing if you feel like. In here in the JavaScript file, we do import React, big R, from React in quotation marks, little r. So we are importing the React library into this file. We're going to use it here. Now we're also importing React DOM. D-O-M, big letters. Hope you are seeing what I'm writing. From React-DOM. And it's nice to get into the habit, like it's nice to feel how these imports are written. Often you need to write them by hand. It's nice to remember how to import React, for example. Yeah. And now we are also gonna import our first component. We haven't created it yet, but we can first finish writing this file and then we'll go create it. So we are importing our first React component app. Remember the Mosh guy who did the little tutorial for you? He said that the root component in React is normally called app. This is what we're referencing here. Import app from, and then we give a path where the file app is. And we write /app and then semicolon. So what it means is that there is a file called app next to this index.js. So let's just go create it because it's kind of weird that we don't have it yet. So next to index.html, next to index.js, new file app.js, big A. So the file is empty, but it's there. We're importing app from app in our index.js. And then the last line of our index.js is we're asking React DOM, so React DOM, to render, .render, the app component. And now comes the interesting syntax here. So as a parameter to this render function, I'm sending this, and it looks like HTML code, right? So this, if you only come from the world of JavaScript and have never done anything with React, this should look strange to you. And this is what I was talking about before, the JSX syntax that React came up with. And it is like a mix of HTML and JavaScript. So here we are saying, I want the app component to be rendered in the DOM. Also, we need to say exactly where it should be rendered. And now this part comes. So we say document.getElement by ID. And then in quotation marks, we write app, and a semicolon at the end. So what's this thing here? Document get element by ID. This is gonna give us an HTML element from our DOM with an ID app. What's our DOM right now? It's the index.html file. So this is our DOM that we're working with. And in here, there is an element with ID app. Here it is, right? So in this file, we are saying render the app component inside this div element that we find like this. All right, so what's the app component? Right now we're saying import this component from this file, app.app. We'll look here and right now it's empty. So let's fix this and actually write our first ever, okay, maybe not ever, ever for this week, React component. And every React component needs to have an import React statement at the top. We have written it once, we can write it again. Import React from React. And now we don't need to import React DOM anymore. React DOM was only needed to insert our React application into the DOM. Or to render our React application in the DOM. Okay, so import React from React. What's next? Next, we are gonna create our React component. And there are two ways to write React components: as a class or as a function. So you guys maybe are used to writing React components as classes. I suggest that we do it first, and then we convert the code and rewrite it as a function. So if we want to write it as a class, we write class app extends react.component. We open a curly brace. And then inside this class, we have a render method. Render. And then the render method returns the component itself, so the markup of the component, the HTML code basically. But maybe we will insert some JavaScript there too. But right now, it's full enough with pure HTML. So we write, what do we want our component to be? It can just be a simple div element with some text in it, or it can be a P element with some text in it. Anything simple, really. I'm gonna create a div, and inside this div, I'm gonna write hello world. There. And now for our index.js to see the app component, we need to write export default app. This is also a thing that we're going to be writing a lot. We define the component and then we write a little export statement at the end so that our other files can see that component. So let's have it like this for now. Later we will rewrite this as a functional component, but first I want you guys to see this whole thing working. And for that we need to configure Webpack. So for that we need to create a Webpack config file. And that we do in the root of our project. So when I say in the root of our project, I mean directly next to package.json, package log.json, and the source folder. So this is the root of our project. New file is called webpack.config.js. So now we're going to be telling Webpack how to pack our code, basically. Webpack is a very powerful tool. The documentation of it is quite large. Serious front-end projects use this tool very often. We use it at work as well. Our Webpack config is 2 kilometers long. But we're gonna create a very simple one. We're just gonna have things like the bare minimum for what we need. And I suggest that you guys just copy the code from the guide. So this is the code I'm copying. And you can spend a lot of time here, but I don't want to focus too much on Webpack. I'm just gonna tell you top to bottom what this Webpack configuration file does, right? So Webpack config file is basically an object. So this is a JavaScript object. Just like package.json, remember, with the keys and values. Key, colon, value. And so we tell Webpack, the entry point to our application is the index.js file, which lies in source, in the source folder. And dot slash at the beginning just means start from the directory where you are and then go into source. And then inside source, there is index.js. Output is, this is where I want the packed code to end up. And here we're using this strange thing. So the output path value, Webpack wants to have an absolute path there. So this thing here is a relative path. Absolute path is something that starts from like, okay, if you're on Windows, it starts, for example, from drive C, / users, then your name, and then / blah, blah, blah. That's the absolute path. It starts from like the root of your file system. And it's slightly different on Mac and Unix. I think I don't remember how it exactly looks there. It's like / something, something. So this is a way, so path is a library to print out the absolute path. And what we are saying to this resolve function here is that where I am right now, so in the root of the project, there is gonna be a dist folder. So create a dist folder in the root of my project and put the packed code into the file called main.js. So when we will be running Webpack, it will create a dist folder for us. And it will pack our code and it will end up there. Okay? Next come some rules, like how to work with the different files that are inside our source project, source folder. And here we say, if it's a JavaScript file, use Babel loader in order to process it for the web. Remember I told you that JavaScript files that we're gonna write, they will have maybe some new JavaScript language features that older browsers don't understand. And Babel will translate our new fancy JavaScript into old dusty JavaScript for the older browsers. So our main.js file, it will have like a bit of older JavaScript in it. But we are writing code in the nice version of JavaScript, in a newer way. So JavaScript files will be processed by Babel loader. And then we have CSS files will be processed by style loader and CSS loader. Our images, if we put some images in our project, will be processed with file loader. So what Webpack will do is it will start an index.js and it will go through our whole project in kind of a tree fashion. It will collect everything, all the files that we need, and then it will create one single file out of it, main.js, and next to it, it will create also an HTML file. Yes, and how does it do that? So here we're using something called HTML Webpack plugin. And we're saying that we have created a template. So here is our HTML template. And Webpack will take this file and it will actually insert some stuff into it that it thinks are needed. So we will see actually how this process goes. So now in order to run Webpack, let's open package.json and create some scripts. So in package.json, there is a key called script. Inside it, there is an object with one key called test. So this means that if we run in our terminal npm run test, it prints out error no test specified. And this is exactly here what this script does. This is just an example of a script. So a script is a command, a terminal command. You can define your own script you give them names here. So this script has a name test, and we run a script by writing npm run and then the script's name in our terminal. So we're gonna create 3 scripts. We don't need this test one, we can just remove it. There. So the first script is build, colon, and then within quotation marks, we write what the script is gonna be. And it is Webpack mode equals development. And then next script, actually, like, to really make sure that we are writing everything exactly correctly here, let's copy this from the guide. So for example, one thing easily missed is double dash. So let's copy this, makes life easier. There. Also, you see, as I save my file, it kind of prettifies the format. And I have written somewhere in some guide, when you install Visual Studio Code, also enable a format on save. And you should have an extension called Prettier in your Visual Studio Code. It makes life much easier. So just a couple words about this, if you haven't done it. On the left pane of Visual Studio Code, there is a button with cubes like this, extensions. You can click it and you can search for Prettier code formatter. And you install it, if you haven't. And then after you've installed it, you also go to settings. Yeah, an easy way I think to go there is you click this, what's Kugel in English? The cog. I'm searching for an English word for this little rounded thing.
Wheel.
I think, sorry?
Cogwheel.
Cog.
Wheel.
Wheel? Okay. And you, yeah, so this is like a standard settings icon everywhere. You click it and you go to settings. And then here you search for format on save and enable it. There. So after copying these three scripts, this enables us to run npm run build. Oh shit, it actually executes the script. So yeah, Visual Studio Code, it actually can run the script already from here, but let me stop this. It was an accident. So when we have scripts here, we can run npm run build, we can run npm run start, npm run predeploy. So we're gonna test running these three different scripts. So first, let's test writing npm run build. And what happens then is Webpack is run, and we say mode development. The result of this command is this dist folder. You see, we have created a dist folder, or Webpack has created a dist folder in the root of our project. And in it, we have an index.html and main.js. So if I had a different name here, it would create a different file. I mean, file with a different name. Some people call it index bundle.js. We call it main.js. And let's take a look at index.html. What's the difference between this file and the file that we have written? So our file in source, see if I can split. Yes?
I must have missed something. When was the dist file created?
So inside our package JSON in script,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
You should copy the three scripts that we have in the guide. So
I did that. I did that. Mm-hmm.
And then you save the file also, if you haven't.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And then you should, in your terminal, write npm run build.
It gives me error.
Okay. What does it say?
It gives me the name of the file a complete log of this run can be found in somewhere else, and then just json.parse.
Okay. Let's you share your screen.
Alrighty.
And
I think.
Huh?
All right. Can you see my screen?
Yeah. Do you see that in your package JSON you have the keywords underlined in red? Line
Yes.
11. So this is what error looks like in Visual Studio Code. So something is wrong with how this file is written.
All right.
And remember we said that this is a JavaScript object, all of it. And inside the object we have key value, comma, and so forth. Do you see then what's missing here? So we have key scripts, and the value is the object. It ends on line 10, and then there is no comma.
Ah, all right. That's it.
You see now the error disappeared from there.
Yeah, yeah, I can see that.
So you save your file and you run npm run build.
Ah, there we go. Nice.
Great.
That's all right.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you.
Now we are so now we are looking at the index.html file in the dist folder and index.html in the source folder. On the left-hand side, I have source. On the right-hand side, I have dist. And the difference between them is that Webpack has inserted this script. So it has inserted in our HTML page that we have all our JavaScript code that this page needs in main.js.
I'm sorry, I need to ask again because I don't have the index HTML file. I only have main.js.
In the dist folder?
Yeah.
Look at your Webpack config.js.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry, can I just jump in? Because I had the same problem, and I had the same problem because I initialized this command in the wrong folder. So please check to initialize it inside the root folder instead of the folder inside, which I think is because I initialized it being in source, and that's why it still created the dist and it created the JS file, but it didn't create the index file. So it might be this one because I had exactly the same problem.
Maybe Svenja, you could share your screen. We'll just check it out.
Sure.
And then we will see what Karina is asking about. Do you?
She still has the same error, and she's not missing the comma.
Okay.
Okay. I can't share my screen just yet.
Sorry, now you can.
No, it froze. Can you hear me again?
Yeah.
Perfect. I'm afraid, Katarina, I didn't quite grasp what you were saying, where I initialized the wrong.
So I had the problem, similar problem, because I had this folder where I had a JC file, but I didn't have, oh, exactly. So
Mhm.
this happened because when you initialized this command, you were inside some other folder where you're supposed to be in the source folder.
I see. So I'm supposed to be in here, right?
So to do that, you probably need to
But you shouldn't be in the source folder when you run the command. You should be in this My Games folder. This is correct. What I'm wondering about is your Webpack config. If you go to that file, you haven't saved it. I think you have pasted your file, but you haven't saved, yeah. And the same goes for index.html. Do you see a little circle next to it in the tabs up? At the top of this window,
Yeah.
have different tabs, and everything with a circle is things that you haven't saved.
I see. Mm-hmm.
So
And
remember,
I did that.
otherwise the changes aren't really there, right? So try
Sure.
running this command again, npm run build. And it should create both files.
There we are. All right, I'll make sure to save more often.
Yeah. I mean, in Visual Studio Code, you can enable saving, but I have experienced a bit of problems with that if you also have format on save. It tries to format your code while you are writing it, and that messes up with me. So I don't have autosave enabled. I don't like saving manually. It's almost in the bone marrow right now. Okay. So I have actually the power to stop your screen share, so you don't need to worry about it. So we have run npm run build, and this script, am I sharing? Yeah, I'm sharing. And this script says Webpack.
I'm so sorry, but I can't make it work. I'm sorry.
Yeah, okay, share your screen, we'll help you.
1 second, I will try. I think you have to stop screening yours.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Let me see. Yeah. So yeah, I get this error, and I don't know what's wrong. I've saved everything.
I see it already.
You
Your
see it?
source, yeah, your source folder is called SCR.
Oh my God. Okay. Yeah, I will fix it. Thank you.
Just right click and rename.
Yeah, thank you. Bye.
You're welcome. So guys, we are not far from finishing this first setup guide. So I think let's push it and finish it and then take a break, okay? So we have run scripts build, and we have set here to Webpack mode development. And take a look at your main.js. So it has created a huge JavaScript file with like everything that your site needs. Quite extremely big. But that's the bundling process. It takes everything, it takes libraries as well, and it injects the code of the libraries that's needed into that file. So it contains everything. And now let's run another script. npm run pre-deploy, I called it. And then it runs the command webpack mode production. So if you now take a look at your main.js, you see how it got all Yeah, all the white spaces have been removed, like spaces and tabs and things. So it has now it has created like a production version of the main.js. Index HTML also is trimmed, so no spaces there either. So this command, npm run pre-deploy, we're going to be running before the deploy, right? We're going to deploy our code to GitHub pages. And that's the command that we're going to run there. And last but not least, actually maybe the most common command we're going to use from now on is npm start. It's the same as npm run start, just a shorthand for it. What that does, according to the script, is it runs the Webpack dev server. Remember I told you about it? When we are building our code, or when we are working with our web project, we will have this development server running in our machine, and then it serves the web content that we are building. So what have we done? We have an index.html page. We've created that, index.js and app.js. So this is our source code. And the result of building it is this. So it should have opened a browser at localhost colon 8080, and there it says hello world. What we can do is we can open the DevTools with the F12 button or right-click inspect. If you guys are not on Chrome or Firefox, it's going to be a little bit hard for me to help you. So if you have those browsers, use them. Safari probably also has this similar functionality, but Chrome is what I'm using. So use it also so that you are in sync with what we're looking at. So what do we have here? We have our HTML page that we have built. It has head and body. Inside the body, we have the div ID app. Remember it? And inside the div ID app, so you see in index.html, we have just an empty div ID. And then something happened. So React has inserted the app component inside this div ID. And why did it do it? Well, because we told it to do so in our index.js. We said React DOM, render the app component inside this div, please. And then React looked, okay, what's the app component? Oh, it's this thing. Returned, it's the div with hello world. Okay, easy to render. Here it is inside the div with ID app. So this is what's happening here.
Can you show what happened when you ran the pre-deploy command? I mean, what happened in your terminal? Because I'm getting error. I'm wondering what it should look like. It should look like there's no error. Okay.
Yeah. One thing also to learn here is how to stop the dev server. So if you go to the terminal, if it's running, right, you press Control-C, just like the copying command. And then it asks terminate batch job, and you type yes, Y for yes, and then it terminates. So, and
why do I want to terminate it?
I needed to do it. So I also told everybody how to do it in case it's needed later. So npm run pre-deploy. It should kind of look similar to when we run npm run build. It should say, well, green stuff should be shown and build at the end. It's something is red, that's bad. If it's green, it's good. I wonder if we guys can come up with some good way for you to get help from Clara. Maybe if you can send her screenshots, because you cannot really go out from this call, right? But maybe you can take a screenshot of your problem and paste it where?
In the chat.
Is it possible in Zoom?
I can share a file.
So if something's wrong, take a screenshot of your, like for example, something's wrong in Visual Studio Code, take a screenshot of the whole Visual Studio Code window. Okay, so now we have created a very simple React component called app. It just says hello world to us. Now let us comment this code out. So you create a comment by writing /* as the start and then / at the end. So we just want to comment out this code. And now let's rewrite this code as a function instead and compare what it looks like. So instead here we write function app and then parentheses, and we open curly brace, and then we copy the return statement from the previous code. That's it. So here you have the comparison of a functional component to a class component. So the difference is that the functional component, it doesn't have any methods like this, render. Normally, if you create class components in React, maybe you'll have some more methods than the render. But functional components, the code inside them is what you have in your render method. And originally, functional React components have been created to just simplify class components like this. So in order to make the code shorter, you just say, oh, app is not a class, it's a function. And it returns the code that should be rendered, right? And then later, some cool things came up, like React hooks, so that you can do much more things with functional components than you could before. When I tell you create a React component, I want you to write function, component's name, parentheses, empty to start with. Maybe we will put something there later. And then I want you to have return and the markup code of the component. So this is what you do when I tell you create a component. All right. Next steps are to create a Git commit out of all the work that we have done, and then deploy our first simple, I can't even call it really website, right? Well, yeah, web page that just says hello world to the world. We're going to be deploying it to GitHub pages. But let us take a break now, because yeah, we've been working hard for a long time. Let's take another 10 minutes break. If you have not, if you don't have a GitHub account, make sure to get one, to create one. It's free, github.com. Just maybe to test if you have Git working, write git dash version in the terminal. Dash version, I would guess. Yes. Git dash version, and it should print something out. Then you have Git installed. All right, see you in 10 minutes. I'm starting the timer.
Can I ask you something again, since you're still there?
Yes.
All right. I can't write anything into my terminal, so like in app.js, like you just did.
Control C. Maybe you have something running.
Control C. Ah, perfect. Thanks. What did you say? Git minus version, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that doesn't give me anything.
So just print some version number.
It just says Batch-Vorgang abbrechen.
Are you writing git space minus?
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you want to share your screen? Not sure what that error was.
Sure.
I'll stop my screen.
All right. Here. So it means abort batch process.
I can't see your screen. Where are you going to share?
Oh, you can't see it?
No.
All right. Okay.
Okay. So after you have clicked Control C, it's asking you, do you want to interrupt the process, yes or no? And then you should also write, instead of git version, so you just delete it with backspace. Yeah, and type a J there. No, just the letter J. No.
What?
Erase everything and type one letter.
Ah, yes or no. Okay.
Yeah. And now type git version. It works.
Perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So what does Control C do?
Control C means terminate the process running right now.
Ah, okay.
And then, yeah, it asks you, do you really want to do this? And then you say,
Okay, okay. Thank you.
yep. I'm going to go stretch my legs a little bit.
Yeah, sure. We need to keep you waiting.
Okej, jag renamar Charlotte till Antonina i Zoom. Tycker jag är Men det var att vi har som en musik. Ja. Och sen så tror jag att det är ganska mycket sånt här om Zoom. De flesta kan följa. Så klockan är 10:04 och vi har tid till 5. Ja, så jag kommer inte köra en så vi kommer inte köra en så kör jag bara på musik. Jag kan köra den fast min tolk är väldigt mycket så här alltså min historia. Det handlar om oj, också en grön danspaus. Om du ska klockan 5.
Ida? Are you there?
Ja, hör Emi.
Vill du dela din skärm? Så kanske det är lite lättare.
Ja, än alla bilder.
Ja, jag tänkte bara så länge när vi har paus.
Ja. Den säger att jag inte får dela.
Aha, kan du ta bort din... Tack. Nu borde du kunna dela.
Då ska vi se vilken jag vill dela då. Där kanske. Så. Händer det någonting nu?
Ja.
Då ska vi se. Vill du se felmeddelandet?
Ja, tack.
Där tror jag det börjar. Eller?
Vi är inte längst ner. Kolla ännu mer.
Jag skulle göra det.
Git version funkar.
Ja. Jag tror att det är något. Den säger att det är något med att den inte har någon loader för index IS-fil. Eller har jag missuppfattat? Jag tror jag måste bara skrivit fel någonstans i någon fil.
Webpack-config ska heta webpack.config.
Ja, det är streck. Nej. Men vad bra, då löser väl det allting. Bild man ska köra. Nu. Eller? Ja. Vad bra. Tack.
Nu är det riktigt illa.
Sointu, do you have asked a question? Do you need help? Okay, but could you share the screen? I have seen your screenshot, but I cannot figure out from just a screenshot what the problem is. She said she had problems with headphones. Maybe she couldn't hear what I was saying. Can you hear us, Sointu? Maybe I could talk for you to figure out if you can hear me or not. Is there no sound? I don't really know what to do if the sound doesn't work for somebody. Not much we can do about it, unfortunately.
Can anybody hear me?
Yes?
Yeah.
Do you hear me?
Yes?
I don't hear you guys. Just a moment. Yes.
You can hear us now?
Yeah, I'm back.
Oh, wow, okay. Maybe you could share your screen and we'll see what's wrong with.
Yes. Here.
So it says the error is in index.js. So
yeah.
Go to in the source file. Yeah, this one. And it cannot really process this JSX syntax, it says. For that to work, in your package JSON, check so that you have those Babel things if you scroll up. You don't seem to have them, right? So go to the guide. Oh, open the guide where you have.
I think I have not saved something. That must be it. But
So
it was way up.
Yeah, in the guide, one of the first things maybe we did it was Babel, colon, and then some things, and you were supposed to insert that into this packaging. Yes, so save it and try again. Huh? Did it work? It seems like that, right?
Yeah, it's only green. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Great. Okay, then we can continue.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
I just want to ask Clara, did you get it to work?
Yeah, well, I think I found where the problem starts because right now I have like multiple errors. So the whole like red errors started when I go to, where am I? To the package JSON, and then I tried the npm run test and then npm run build. And once I start that, it just goes all red.
Did you try
run test?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you now.
Yeah, you can, share your screen.
Yep. So I guess you see now, yeah. So I checked this like package JSON, and there are the scripts, build, start, and pre-deploy.
Do you see that your app.js is not saved?
Oh, which one?
App.js, yeah. It's not saved, and it looks so weird here.
Yeah.
So something is wrong with the file. The picture froze. Okay. So you see line 8 is underlined in red.
Yep.
You have a closing comment that is left without a friend.
This?
Yeah, so delete it. Yeah. And, oh, right, I'm sorry. So here we have two components. So both of them are app, right? We only want the second one. So the code above, line 3 to line 7, should be commented out. So you had the closing comment, but you didn't have the opening comment. So go to line 2 and open a comment /*/*.
Okay, so that was all of it. Okay, thank you. I guess I saw that you had the closing comment, but I didn't know how to use it.
Yeah,
Okay,
and then save this file and then try running.
So now I still go back and start to run the npm run build because that's where it went all red before.
Don't forget to save this file.
So
you see those circles, right? Next to the file name in the tabs. Try to keep track of them.
Okay. See, it goes all red again.
Files in the source.
Oh yes, thank you. Webpack.config.js, that file.
Yep.
It should be moved to outside of the source folder. It should be in the root of the project.
How do I do that? Because at that point I was getting all these messages trying to solve it and it never proceed to this. Like,
you just drag it out of, so in the left menu where you have, yeah, try to just drag it out of there, just drag it down. Yes.
Oh. Yay.
And try again.
Try again to go back to the terminal and run the same thing.
npm run build, yes.
Okay, great. Okay, doesn't do anything.
It's just thinking.
Okay. Yay!
Yeah, great.
And now, shall I just go back and run everything I've run since?
So up until the Git things, we don't need to make any changes anymore. So what we did was we just tested these commands. So you can run npm start, see that your browser opens the page. To stop that execution, you press Control-C in terminal. So,
okay, but now how do I check if that?
But if you just want to continue, you can do that. You don't need to do those things for the next part. You can do them later, just in the guide.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. I'm sharing my screen, right? Yes. So we can keep this commented out like this to just see what class components look like, but we won't be writing any class components. We'll just be writing functional components. So next step is to save our work, and we're going to use Git for that. So everybody has their camera on mostly, right? Do we have people who have never used Git? Raise your hand. Okay, we have some people who haven't used Git. Well, Git is kind of a separate subject, I guess. So it is a version control system. What we do is, like, we have a project now, it's in a folder, right? And then we will initialize Git in this folder. So let's start with this. We'll write git init. Don't show again. I clicked on the little window there. So now we have initialized Git in this repository, and we're saying that we want to use Git in here, basically. And what you do with Git is you create something called commits, and it's basically all the changes that you have made to this folder. So all the changes in all the files that you have made. If you have deleted a file, that's a change. If you have created a new file, that's a change. If you have written some new code in some file, that's also a change. And all these changes together, we create a commit out of it. So commit is like a piece of work. You would normally create a commit when you feel like, oh, okay, now I have built something, my site is working, I create a commit. And then I call this commit something like add button X, or I don't know, add memory, basic memory game, for example, or like implement function, blah. So those are examples of different commits that we can create. And now we're going to create the first ever commit in this project. But first thing we want to do is we want to exclude some things from our project. For example, we are not going to keep track of changes of node modules. In order to say to Git, don't keep track of changes of these files, in the root of our project, we create a new file and we call it .gitignore as one word.
Oh.
And we don't want to have any node modules in our repository. It's a huge directory, it changes a lot, and we don't need to have it, because if somebody else wants to use our code, they download our code and then they write npm install. And what that command does is it looks at package.json and creates node modules out of it. So it's something that you only need locally and you never deploy it to a repository. So inside the gitignore file, we are gonna write the names of the files that we want to ignore and folders. So we want to ignore node_modules. And we save this file. I have also some VS Code things, but I can just delete it. It will appear there again. So if you have a VS Code folder, you can also ignore it here, or you can maybe delete it. There, node modules in the gitignore, I have saved it. Now what we do is two things we could do. Either use the terminal or use the graphical user interface. Let's use the terminal first. So in the terminal, we write git status. And then it lists all the files, all the directories that have changed. But since it's our first commit, everything we have done is a change compared to nothing, right? So we have created all these files. And Git says that they are untracked, nothing added to commit, but untracked files present. So if we want to create a commit out of all these files, we type git add -all, ALL. So I want all of these files to be included in my commit. This means I have staged these files for a commit. And then we write git status again. Now, all these files are listed as green, and it says changes to be committed. So before you create a commit, you pick the files that you want to be included in this commit. Most often, we will include all the changes that we do. So most often, we will do git add all, and then we create a commit. So let's create our first commit. We do this by typing git commit, double M on that. And then we supply a message for this commit. What have we done? As I told you before, like different examples of commits, added some button or fixed some bug or added some game, if it's a bigger commit, maybe. So we call this first commit within quotation marks, initial commit. You can call it whatever you want. It's just, it's not very, very important for us. But it's nice to keep like a list of changes. When you look at this list of changes, you see like logically how our work has been going. First, we have made an initial commit, and then we fixed something, and then we added something, and so forth. So press enter. Oh, I forgot -m. So git commit -m, and then the message. There. Another command with Git that we can run is git log. It will show you the history of all commits that we have created. We have created one commit. It's called initial commit so far. Next, yeah.
Did you create a repository first somehow? Did I miss something?
I haven't created the repository yet. I haven't showed that yet.
Okay, but did you get the message fatal, not a Git repository or any of the parent directories?
No.
Okay, because I get it.
Did you do git init first?
No, but I got this when I did the git at all, and you didn't have any error message.
So the first command that you should run is the git init, and then create a git ignore file.
Okay, yeah, I did that.
Yeah, and then you can run git status, and then you run git add all, and this git commit. Okay, and don't run this next command. Don't copy the code from here, because then you will be trying to push to my repository. So what we do now is we go to github.com and we create a repository there.
Yeah, I'm having trouble. I'm doing something in wrong. I did something in wrong order or something.
Do you want to Okay. Do you want to try sending screenshots to Clara, or should we try to help? Okay, I can help. I can help one of you.
Maybe we can go through it again.
Okay. So first you type git init. Did that work?
Yes.
Yeah, and then you type.
Then you create the git ignore. Yeah.
The git ignore file. It is called .git ignore. Quite important.
And you created that directly under source.
And not under source in the root, where package.json is. Are you with us? What I mean? So when I say the root of the project, I mean the top level. We have files like package.json there.
And but where do you place your,
The git ignore is here.
Where do you choose before you go and add a file? Where do you place your, yeah?
What do you mean? Where do I place the what?
Yeah, where do you place the new file, git ignore? Where do you physically put your?
In the root
where
of
do you choose to activate?
Oh, I'm not sharing.
Where do you click?
Oh, new file, or right click, new file.
But no file is active while you click file, new file.
Yeah, because you're creating a new file.
Yeah, but I mean, no folder is active while you.
Yeah, no folder should be active. That way you're keeping it in the root of the project.
Yeah, I have a chaos here. It asked me something if I wanted to create it, and I said yes, and now everything is green, and I have a U next to everything, standing for a fact.
That's okay. Share your screen.
Yeah, sure.
Can everybody who has problems with something press raise hand in Zoom, except for Sointu, because we're already helping. I just want to say
sorry.
help. So this is okay. So when you
because now when I want to add a new file.
But you are done with git ignore. You have already created it.
Yeah.
Click on it.
Okay.
Yeah, so you're done here. And you have done a git, yeah, press git space status, okay? Yes, and now type git add -- all. Yes, this is okay, by the way. Don't mind these messages.
And what are these?
Sorry?
Okay, fine. No, it's okay.
And then git commit, just what the guide says. You are on the right track.
Okay. Okay, yeah. Thank you. I can continue.
Lisa, do you want help?
Yes, I can share my screen.
About Sophia's question, how many files are we supposed to have? I think I have written that in the guide, what git status should say. So all those files we are supposed to add. The dit folder we're also adding.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm supposed to add git here somewhere.
Can you close or can you go to Visual Studio Code and check what?
Yes.
Yeah, I see you're trying to add maybe git to the path. So, right. It's not recognized, and you're on Windows. Do you have you installed Git?
Yeah, it says so here.
Okay. So what you can do for now is you can use, if you have git bash, that's better. Instead of having git commands in Visual Studio Code. We can help you later with getting that to work. So open your folder. You have a folder open, right? If you just go down, 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 down.
Which folder?
Just the Explorer folder. Go left, yeah, that. And find where your project is.
Yeah.
Yes, go in here. Right-click, git bash here. And all the git commands that we're writing, write them here instead of Visual Studio Code. So git init. And just follow the guide from here, from this terminal instead of Visual Studio Code, okay?
Okay.
All right. And do we have more people needing help?
I did, but I think I fixed it. Actually.
Okay.
Maybe I can send one last screenshot and then you can confirm that it.
Okay. Clara, will you confirm? So now let us go to github.com. And there we want to create a new repository. So first you need.
That'd be great.
Sorry?
Okay, so this in the chat.
Could you send a screenshot? And Clara will.
Yes. Sending it right now.
So, am I sharing screen? Share screen. So the next step is to create a GitHub repository. Yes. And first you need to be logged in, so make sure that you are logged in. And then in the repositories, you click new, and you should come to this page. Then we create a name for our repository. So you can again use the pink my games or pink games or whatever. Call this repository what you want. I have already created a bunch of repositories called pink games. So I'm just gonna call this repository test. And please don't call yours test, because I'm just gonna delete this one and continue in another repository. I just wanna show you the steps that we wanna do on my screen. So here, write a name that you want your repository to be called. It's basically the name for your website with some nostalgic games. It shouldn't have any spaces in it. Normally, if it's 2 words, then it's word minus word and so forth. The repository needs to be public, I'm sorry, so keep this public. Basically, all of the default settings here should be chosen. Don't make any changes, and then create a repository. Once you have created your repository, you will have some suggestions how to set it up further. And I want you guys to copy the lines where it says, or push an existing repository from the command line. So copy the code. Here is the copy button. And then you run it in the terminal. And let's hope that that works for you guys. And if it doesn't, we'll help you. There might be some, I don't know, login issues. Let's do like this. People who have done this step, press raise hand. Everybody who has created a repository and pushed the code to the repository, raise your hand. Senja, or are you raising a hand like literally? I mean in the Zoom, it's easier. So if you have done this, next step is for us to add another script to our scripts in package.json. And this is the script that we want to add. The name is deploy. And we're going to do some crazy Git magic there. So add this to your script, save your package JSON. And at the end, we want to run these 5 commands. You can change the commit message to something like add deploy script. That's the change.
I'm a little bit behind. I'm sorry. I have to inform that because
I just trying to give people who are already ready something to do.
Okay, excellent.
So
I just see I need to log into GitHub through code, Visual Studio Code.
Oh, yeah. So like these are the last steps for this setup. So I can, in the meantime, tell you a little bit what we're doing with this deploy command. So what we want to do is we want to, now we have created a repository and we have pushed our code there. That's those 2 commands that you have copied from GitHub. And then next step is that we want to publish our website that we have built to GitHub pages. And in order to do that, we need to have a separate branch in Git called GitHub and called GH pages. And the contents of that repository should be the contents of your dist folder. So these 2 things are deployed to the GitHub pages branch. And when in your Git repository, you have, so let me see, I have created a Git repository test. It doesn't have any code, but let me switch to Ping Games Teaching. So when you have pushed something to repository, you will see that you have branches here. Normally you start out with one branch called master. But once you have deployed, once you have run that deploy command, you will have also another branch called GH pages. And then it automatically works like that the content deployed to that branch will be visible in your GitHub pages. So I am gonna need to do a little fix here so that I deploy my code to this repository. Just a second. But you guys fix GitHub in the meantime. And you can also finish and run all of these commands and explore how your Git repository looks on GitHub. See that you have like all the code up there. I mean, like here is the code I have so far. I have only pushed 1 file, but you should have the source directory and everything here on github.com/your name/the name of the repository. So we're multitasking a little bit here. And Clara, maybe if somebody needs help, they can share their screen and I can stop sharing mine for a little while.
Is there anyone who needs help?
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I got a bit lost when we went, with this push an existing repository from the command line. So I just took it and I copied that back to Visual Studio, went to the terminal and just copy pasted it, which I'm not sure if that was what we were supposed to do and what it's supposed to do.
Can you share your screen?
Yep. Okay. Yep. So here, so I just took it and copied it in to the terminal, and it looks okay unless it says you must provide exactly one revision, which I got no idea what it is, and it has red errors ever since.
Can you run git status? Git status. Yes. Okay, so you haven't created a commit, it seems.
But okay, so shall I run that again? Because I've been running it, but okay.
Okay, yeah, try to run it again.
Okay. I just this one, the one with -m initial commit.
Yeah, sure.
Unable to auto-detect email address. Is that a problem?
Okay, so I see that Svenja also got this error, and it's just because like Git wants to know that your user is the same as the one on the web page in GitHub. So it's not, I don't think it's necessary to do it, but if you want to, you can do it. So if you just write Git, those 2 lines above. No, not this one. In the terminal.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see the git config global?
Oh, yay.
Yeah. So if you want to, you can run for the first one and then post your email address that you use
it to
GitHub, and then your username on GitHub.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Without quotes, just yeah. And so Svenja, if you want to do that, it's the same for you. But I don't think it's necessary though. It's just looks a little bit better on GitHub if you do it. So you need to run the first command first and then the second. So you can't, yeah. Exactly, and then your email.
I don't really understand. There's something I don't understand in the instructions. Can I ask a question, or are we waiting for?
Just a moment. So we'll just take this first, and then.
Sorry.
Jag vet inte, vi behöver nog bara ta, alltså, jag kan försöka ta en efter en. Så att, ja, om du behöver göra det så är det okej. So, is there someone else who has a problem that you want to share your screen for?
I have a question, not really a problem. So now I see all of my sources and files online on GitHub.
Yeah, great.
But in the missing the word here. In your guide, it says at the last step, let's publish blah 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 blah. And then this can easily be done by using the git subtree split command. I did that, sorry. And let's create a new script in package.json called deploy. Where do I do that?
Okay, so you can you open your package.json file?
On GitHub, you mean, or in Visual Code?
In Visual Studio Code.
Yeah, okay. Package.json, all right.
Yes.
Got it.
So do you see the scripts object that you have there?
Yep.
Yeah, so I think you are just supposed to add the last line here, the deploy scripts.
Ah, so easy. Alrighty.
And then
yeah, so that your scripts object will look like the one in GitHub.
I'm doing the same thing here, and I'm wondering, do I then run the deploy command?
Yes, so after you added those, you can run you can run the pre-deploy. So you run all those commands.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I just go on in the instructions, and so now
exactly.
in order to. Okay, I think it was just confusing in the instructions that it says that earlier that this can be easily done by doing the subtree split thing.
Okay,
I thought I would have to do that first. Just
it's
is
fine.
it easier than it's annoying? Can you give me a second? Yeah. I have a lot of experience with this, teaching mathematics also. When you use words like that, like, oh, this can be easily be done, just by doing like that, and then you get like reactions from people like, you think it's easy. Yeah, the easy word refers to the fact that like the command and it's like what we want to do is hard, but we just easily post this little thing here, and then we can run npm run deploy, and then life becomes easy. So those commands that you see at the end of the guide, npm run pre-deploy, then git add, all, git commit, git push, npm run deploy. These commands we are gonna be running every time we have finished some kind of piece of work, like I said. For example, now we have created a super simple web page that says hello world. That's a little milestone that we have achieved. And then we run all of these commands to deploy our work to GitHub pages. And then next step maybe is we will decorate our web page a little bit so that it will have some nice content, right? And then we will run again npm run pre-deploy, then we'll run the git commands to create a commit, and then we run npm run deploy to publish it all to GitHub pages again. So this is like, you might need to come back here and look at these commands again, because this is what we're going to be running over and over in our code. It's actually possible to make one single command out of all of these 5. I will show you how to do that, so that you need to do them one by one. Let me share my screen. And so now we have the setup done. And here, actually, this page with the guide, this is also a GitHub repository. And you guys, if you have issues, let me walk you through this thing that I'm walking you through, and then afterwards we can solve the issues. So this GitHub page where I have the guide, it is also a Git repository. So it's just a normal Git repository called Pink Games Teaching. And inside this repository, there is a wiki. And Wiki is the guide to everything we'll be doing at the camp. And now I have also pushed the code that I have written together with you to this repository. And I can see like all these files that I have pushed. I can also see all the commits that I have done. So if you press here on 3 commits, here is the history. Maybe you have 2 commits, I think I have instructed you to do. Initial commit and then an add deploy script. I have squeezed in another little commit that adds a README file. So in case you come to my repository, you might feel a bit more welcome if you see a little README. You can also add a README if you want to your repository. If you feel like everything we've been doing so far is easy, add a README. That's your task. So if we have also run this deploy command, then what should have happened is that on the right side, on the right pane here, you have environments, GitHub pages active. So let's click this link, if you have done all of that, of course. And you can see the deployments to the GitHub pages. And then you can go to view deployment. You should only have 1 deployment, right? I had many, don't mind that. So here is the link to your name, GitHub.io, and then /project name. Save this link. This is what you can share with your friends, your family, or whoever, and tell them, check this out, I'm building a web page right now, and after this week, there will be a game or 2 or 3 up there. And then, so during this week, we will update this website, and each and one of you will have their own, right? So save this link somewhere. And that's it for the setup. I think we are finishing today at 5 o'clock. So we will do the initialization of our web page or basic web page guide. We will be doing tomorrow. And that's where we will make our website look much more pretty than it is right now. This is what it looks right now. Not very impressive. Tomorrow it will be a bit more impressive. All right. So questions, answers, shoot. And do we have anything left? Should we make any announcements? Charlotte? I'm thinking that people who are done, they can go, and people who need help, they can stay. Yeah. So the next thing for today is the social activity, if we don't want to do the evaluation first. Sorry? Okay, can you show it? Also, can you do this? Okay, I have a little announcement for you to make before you guys go. So the main part of the day today is coming to its end. We have done a lot, right? I also had building basic website as the plan, but it's completely normal that we didn't do that now. We will do it tomorrow as the first thing. So what we want you guys to do is to go to HowSpace day 1, and there is a little evaluation form. So this is for us to be able to make some changes to how we're working every day. So please leave your feedback about what you thought the day has been so far. And we will read it and possibly adapt the camp to your thoughts. And then please come to the social activity at 19. Here at the bottom, you can sign up for this activity by just clicking here. I think it's just select. And that's it. And we will see each other again on Zoom, but use this link at the bottom to join. So answer also this if you haven't. If you want to communicate with us outside of Zoom, you can use this chat window here, or you can use Facebook or email, but this is the first, I think, communication channel. We are on HowSpace all the time and we're monitoring everything that's happening there. All right, so people who are done and don't have any questions, we're not gonna keep you here. You can go. People who need help, please stay and we'll help you. Thank you for today.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
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 I'm a little bit confused by this evaluation form. It doesn't seem to work properly.
Evaluation form doesn't seem to work properly.
It's like as if we are trying to create the form and not answer the form.
It's the edit link and not the, yeah. We're gonna replace the link.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, so we have Ida and Sophia that need help. And Eleni needs help. Anyone who wants to go first? I am gonna stop my screen share. So whoever needs help, start screening your share. Okay.
Can share my screen.
Great.
Let's see. Can you see it?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so I have added the Git ignore file.
Yeah.
With node modules.
Uh-huh.
And I push it to my repo and I can see it there.
Uh-huh.
But I still have this 5,000 file changes.
Press refresh there.
There,
Yeah, no, up, to the right.
There. Oh, done.
Did you press?
Oh, okay.
Uh-huh.
Solved.
It just needs this one refresh, and after that it works.
Okay, nice. Okay, thank you.
You're
for
welcome.
today.
Oh, sold it for Ida as well.
Yeah.
Nice. Anybody else needs help?
I have a small question.
Uh-huh.
How do you change the default browser in Visual Studio? When I open the app, it opens up in Explorer, and I can't find how to change it to Chrome.
I think it's a good Google is your friend issue.
I tried doing it quick, but I'll do it more thoroughly. I thought it might be just a simple thing, but okay, I'll Google it.
But let's just check the settings fast.
I couldn't find anything about browsers when I was at settings.
But what browser is opening for you, and what do you want?
Edge is opening up, and I want Chrome.
And is Chrome your standard browser? Like
yeah, the normal standard browser is Chrome. But I'll go more and see if I can find it.
Yeah, maybe Maybe it's something you need to tell Webpack, but it should be Visual Studio.
Yeah, I thought, but I'll look it up.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Tell us if you have solved it or if you have given up in the message on HowSpace, because we can look at it later in the day. But tell us like where you are on that.
Yep. Yep. Thank you.
Happy to help. Mm-hmm. Sophia, do you have a problem?
Yeah, I think I need to share my screen.
Mm-hmm.
So.
I think you're muted. Can't hear you.
Can you see
now
it?
I can hear you. Yeah.
Okay. So I kind of fell off somewhere during this setup. So I got this green modified things down here.
Yeah.
Is it supposed to be like that, or have I done something wrong?
Yes, it says that these things are for you to be committed. So these are the files that are staged for the commit. What happens if you write git log?
Like that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you have already one initial commit. Interesting that in your Explorer, in your project window on the left. Oh yeah, you have node modules. Okay, great. So you just, this is a Git saying to you that there are 3 files that you can commit. There are changes that you have made. So somehow in your initial commit, those 3 files were not included. That's it. But it's okay. You can just create another commit for them. So have you run pre-deploy, npm run pre-deploy? I think you have.
Yeah, I think I have.
Yeah. And then you have run git add all, I think.
Yeah.
And now you run git commit -m and then a message.
Okay, so git like that?
Yes,
or,
and then within quotation marks, you write some message that describes your changes. Another thing you can do is, in order to see what changes you have made in a nice way, you can click. Do you see a button on the left in the top with a 3?
Yes.
Yeah. So this is your Git helper, and you can click on one of the files. Yeah, click on them, and then it shows the difference between the previous version and this version. Okay, click on package.json as well, and scroll down.
I think it looks the same.
Yeah, it looks the same. I think it has to do with those CLRF things. That's line endings are different on Windows and Unix, and Git has a Unix style as the standard, and then it might show as a change when you like just touch a file. Then you have created Windows style line endings, and Git thinks that there is a change. But you can either discard these changes because it doesn't look like you have done anything, or you can just create a commit out of them. You have created a commit, right? Just now, git commit. Yeah. And now they should disappear, I think, from that list of staged changes. Maybe I could just remove. Let's see. If you write git status now again. Okay, so in the terminal, Git says that you don't have any changes. Press that refresh button in the top of the window on the left. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So now they are in sync.
Kind of confusing, but
oh yeah, I know.
Well, thank you.
But new tools. That's confusion comes with that. So you have created a commit, and now you just can follow the guide further down. So you have after that git push, and after that npm run deploy, right?
Okay.
I can just do it already now. So git push. That's it. And then npm run deploy. Great. So now you can go to your GitHub repository on the internet to just, oh, yeah, maybe you have done it, but maybe you're just sharing Visual Studio code. You just go to your browser and open github.com. And there you can see, like I showed, you should have your repository there, and you should see GitHub pages deploy on the right, and then you can see where you have deployed your web page.
Okay, so do you see the screen?
Yes, and then on the right at the bottom it says environments. Yes, and you can click there, and then click view deployment. There, yes. And then you come to your web page that's on the internet. So this is the link that you wanna save somewhere.
Okay, yeah, thank you.
All right, anybody else need help? I think people might have left, but Zoom is still on. I'm still recording, so I'm gonna